Just as a welcome, thank you so much for your time. This is all about unlocking real-time customer data and context for AI and AI apps via Tealium by utilizing Model Context Protocol. We're going to get into what that means. So without further ado, just a quick intro here. Again, the talk is building AI agents with MCP and Tealium. Just a quick overview of the agenda. We have a 5-minute introduction. You are here right now. If you see this introduction here, we're going to talk about core MCP concepts, Tealium for your AI stack, Tealium plus MCP use cases. We're going to look at some app code architecture together, perform a live demo and walkthrough. We're really going to dig into that and try out some things and show you what real-time personalization can look like with a really simple example, mind you. And then we'll have plenty of time, about 10-15 minutes, to be able to have an interactive Q&A session. So if you have questions, feel free to hold off till the end there, and we'll hit those. You can feel free to plug them into the question area of Bright Talk, and then we'll wrap up. All right. Well, let me give you a brief introduction to me real quick. My name is BJ Allmon. I'm a product manager for Tealium, and I've been building products for about 25 years now. That's why the beard's so gray, and I couldn't find an AI that could make my beard as gray as it is in reality right now. But anyway, I've been a product manager for Tealium for about 3 years now. Actually, this month is my anniversary month with Tealium. So that's great. And I am their senior product manager for AI, Tealium AI. And so I'm here today to talk to you about what this thing is with MCP. I've been talking about it a little bit and looking into it myself and tinkering. I'm a tinkerer by heart as an engineer for a long time. So MCP really unlocks building hyper-personalized apps for more revenue with less effort. Obviously, there's a lot of change in the AI space. And so MCP was developed by Anthropic, who most notably authors the Claude models and most recently Claude Code. MCP is an open protocol, and this is from their website, which I'll show you here in a little bit here, that standardizes how applications provide context to LLMs. Think of MCP like a USB-C port for AI applications, just as USB-C provides a standardized way to connect to your devices or various tools, accessories. MCP provides a standardized way to connect to AI models to different data sources and tools. So why MCP? MCP helps you build agents and complex workflows on top of LLMs. LLMs frequently need to integrate with data and tools, and MCP provides a growing list of pre-built integrations that your LLM can directly plug into. The flexibility to switch between LLM providers and vendors for data or agents that do perform different tasks and reasoning, and also provides best practices for securing your data within your infrastructure. The best place to learn about MCP is by reviewing the MCP website. And so there, here it is right here, modelcontextprotocol.io. And as you can see here, here's a little bit of introduction to what MCP is, but then also you have all the, what I would consider reference spec implementation libraries. So if you're developing apps in Python or TypeScript, Java, Kotlin, C#, which is a new one they just released, All these are here for you to take advantage of and plug into your apps to be able to integrate MCP and use MCP for your AI apps, along with all the great introduction details and examples. And there's a lot here. I'm not going to go into all of that. So again, AI needs fresh context. MCP provides standardized dynamic data access. So this can be used for chatbots, personalization experiences, cross-channel, multi-channel implementations. So for basically any industry, you may have a call center. It could be for healthcare or pharma or automotive, fill in the blank, retail. So MCP makes AI smarter and faster. So think of all the things that you can do today with different LLMs and that are basically chatbot interfaces, right? Well, those inside of apps, when we utilize those models for apps, it's great, but they need data to be able to function. And that's where MCP helps us connect to those resources. Kind of similar to if you're doing like deep research now, or some of the different tools that you can click on with ChatGPT or different LLMs out there, Anthropic's models, Claude. They have, deep research and different tools you can click, or web search. Those are plugins basically like MCP would provide to be able to access data that it doesn't have natively, or maybe it doesn't have the latest up-to-date stuff that it needs. And it may not have like data that only your company has. So that's where it, and also it's certainly not going to have it in real time. And that's where Tealium really shines is, we have data at rest and in real time for your customers that's providing insights to their audiences, segmentation, all the data you need to be able to personalize an experience for a customer or a visitor on your website or app. And so this is where MCP really shines. So we're going to get into some of this. So all new protocols, just real quick on protocols here. Some of these are probably really familiar to most of our developer friends out here in the audience. But all these protocols that come into existence, like A2A, which is agent to agent from Google, that just was recently released as well, and MCP for AI agent apps, are the natural result of tech moving forward. So as AI gets more advanced, app developers need new standards to keep up. These open standards are like blueprints that inspire much needed conventions, frameworks, design patterns that all will emerge. All these things will continue to emerge, new things to basically help people who build apps do so better, faster, cheaper, and more consistent. So it's less about the hype and more about laying the groundwork for what's next. I've seen this quite a few times in the past. And again, Gandalf here going on. So it's a new protocol framework, whether it's a new protocol or framework, design pattern or language, those helping to drive sales revenue don't have to be experts in these types of technologies. We just have to understand them, right? So if you're trying to get your head around how do we use this? How do we employ it? How do we do business with this? You don't have to be an expert in it unless you're, needing to build with it. But you need to have some form of understanding. And so there's a lot of business people that are probably on this call that are just trying to understand, how do we employ this for ourselves? How do we sell this? How do we even use this? So that's what I'm here for today, is to help bridge some of that gap for us all. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about MCP and A2A. So Google just posted this fairly recently because they just launched agent to agent A2A protocol. And so this was very nice of them to kind of do a call out to, or shout out to Anthropic and MCP, because this shows you a distinction. I think when A2A first came out, people were kind of like scratching their heads like, oh, this is the new thing. Doesn't really work that way. And this picture really summed it up great. So I wanted to have this here. So shout out to them. It's in the deck, and a link to the Google A2A site or GitHub repo. But basically, this demonstrates you have an agent stack here with some local agents or sub agents, and then you have, your agent development kit here and all this stuff. MCP is the communication between this agent stack and all the APIs, enterprise applications, databases, file systems, fill in the blank. Whatever you need access to data-wise or tool-wise, MCP is there to help you connect to those things for your AI stack and your agent stack. And then where A2A comes in is a standard protocol that supports cross-organizational or technology boundaries between agent stacks. So this really helps to solve the problem if you have like an isolated agent stack, but you need functionality from that stack to play with this other department stack. And so you could employ A2A as a standard means to communicate between disparate stacks. So hope that helps there. So, all right, we're going to keep going here. So, all right, so let's talk about Tealium a little bit here and how Tealium fits into this. So with MCP, Tealium customers can link any AI application to Tealium's rich customer profiles in real time for personalization and beyond. This isn't about replacing existing AI investments. It's about enriching them with the customer data already available in Tealium and the insights. The technical architecture is simple. Tealium offers APIs like I'm kind of highlighting today, Moments API in this case, because we'll be demoing that. But we have other APIs as well and tools. So Tealium offers APIs and connectors that enable AI systems to access relevant customer data in real time. When a customer engages with an AI system, be it a chatbot, a recommendation engine, or a voice assistant, it can instantly retrieve their profile information. This transforms generic AI experiences into personalized interactions that recognize the customer, understand their history, and deliver tailored responses. Equally important, these interactions feed back into Tealium, creating a continuous cycle of activation and learning that refines customer profiles over time. So we don't just get data out of Tealium, which is great, and we can do that in real time, whether it's real-time data flowing through, which we can see here in our demo, or it's data at rest, which is also happening in this demo. But also we can push data in to Tealium via a tool, MCP tool. So Tealium CDP provides the customer context and activates the AI decisions. MCP standardizes the data layer so all AI systems can seamlessly integrate with Tealium. And then AI models make informed decisions using customer data from Tealium and send those decisions back to be executed through emails, ads, website personalization, and more. AI becomes truly intelligent when powered by complete customer context. So again, think of those interactions here with, you have your marketing, your email, your SMS, your notifications. It could be a lot of different things, just app awareness, even of somebody just entered an actual retail store, and the app prompts them, that, oh, here, we have 15% off for you, or, whatever the app needs to do, whatever your plan is or your strategy that you want to employ. But we can also use that same customer context to empower interactions and for call centers, reporting, your CRM data. We can connect all these things and enrich them or bring them back and collect more data points and insights for Tealium so that you can activate more across all your channels. And that's really what we're trying to do here. And the AI agents, they're really there to reason and perform tasks. These are model-driven AI agents. All right, so now we're going to look at some code examples in the architecture, overall architecture for the app that we're going to be looking at today. That is a demonstration of MCP. Like I said, here's the Model Context Protocol .io website, MCP home for if you wanted to go off and build, kind of your own, version of this, or, you can also download this version here at github.com/BJ Allmon Tealium /MCP-chatbot-app. And then also too, if you wanted to look at employee moments into the mix, there's the Tealium Moments API docs as well. But Moments API is also a great tool that it kind of gives you an in-app experience when you build a new endpoint with Moments API, which is what it does. It allows you to create awesome API endpoints for your customer data so that you can retrieve those data points in less than 50 milliseconds on average, which is blazingly fast and consistent. And so that's the power of Moments API there. And it has everything you need when you're building an endpoint to kind of know how to get to the data, what the URL endpoint is for that and all that. So, but let's go ahead and take a peek here. Quick time check. Right, I'm going to resume this here. All right. So let me take a drink. Okay, so we have here the sample project here. This is an MCP chatbot app. This is a fictitious online retailer called Rick's Sporting Stuff. But basically, this is built with TypeScript, React, your typical standard protocol garden variety web app these days. TypeScript and React go really well together, and we see that a lot today. So I figured that would be a good example. The things that we're going to demonstrate are personalized shopping experience based on visitor data and product deals, real-time visitor data integration with Tealium Moments API, product recommendations and deals, VIP customer handling. This is a VIP audience, or non-VIP customer handling as well. I should add there, but also exclusive offers for VIP customers, real-time chat interface with streaming responses. So you'll see how fast the LLM responses that are personalized, because we're injecting, the model is actually getting the data, and I'll show you what that architecture looks like here in a sec. So the page itself is going to be first page personalization. So depending on your audience or your lack of an audience, you'll get encouraged to join a VIP program or not. You'll maybe see a star next to your user ID immediately as soon as the page loads. And also the LLM will tailor the actual deals, the product deals for you right away in its responses. And it'll even talk to you differently if you're a VIP versus a non-VIP. It just has a different talk track. And so this is real-time personalization for both the page and also the LLM that's providing responses. So in real time, we would call this probably hyper personalization these days. And then also this is a modern responsive UI built app with React and Tailwind CSS. The architecture In general, I have a client. Okay. So this is the client user interface that we'll be working with. I have a server application built with Express and TypeScript, Node app, and with MCP implementation and with LLM tool integration. So we'll get a little bit more into that. OpenAI, I'm employing OpenAI for this. For GPT integration for natural language processing. And then the MCP servers, sorry. So we have products server, and this manages the product data and deals. This will be a server that's just hitting, it's just basically grabbing JSON data from a JSON file for like some mock product deals I put in there. But the server itself and tool is actually being used by the LLM to grab the latest deals. I'm not calling the tool manually. The LLM is choosing to invoke the function to get the tool data. And so we'll show that. The Moments API server, this integrates with Tealium Moments API for visitor data. So I use this tool. I do a tool invocation directly, grab the data for first page personalization. Like I want to put some things on the screen immediately as the page loads. And then also, like I said, the AI tool or the AI app in the LLM side of things will choose to use the Moments API as it needs to, and it will invoke that tool itself. So I don't context stuff. It chooses to actually invoke the tool, and I'll show you that as well. I should add to the product server. This kind of mocks out. I have two different servers for two different reasons, because I would probably put all my Tealium tools in a Tealium's tools server, people could slice this and dice it differently from an architecture perspective. You may have all your tools in one thing and just organize them a certain way. I chose to separate tools in servers by function. And so a third-party vendor like Tealium, I want to put that in its own server and set of tools and really isolate that from other things. So we can invoke that independently. Whoever needs Tealium, you can give access to those tools and servers. The product server and tool, that's kind of a mockery of like a RAG app, for instance, retrieval augmented generation app, where you're getting, maybe you're pulling from like and this is probably preferred for that kind of data, to just pull it from like a Databricks or something like that, or Snowflake or whatever you're doing, even ChromaDB, which is pretty lightweight tool out there. But basically, like you can Redis is also another great tool for this kind of thing. You can index data with like OpenAI embeddings or some kind of embeddings. There's a bunch of different ones out there. So that when you do retrieval or search for data, it's not just a standard like keyword search, like the human asked for XYZ in the chat input or whatever, or clicked on a thing and that caused an AI interaction. It's actually doing some form of reasoning with that data with AI embeddings, and then passing that data to the context of the LLM to be able to reason with the results. Okay, the result set. And that result set's going to be a lot stronger than just a basic keyword search or something like that. So kind of mocking that out a little bit. I was context stuffing all that into the front, which context stuffing is just a funny word or term for jamming a bunch of data into the input of request for the LLM. Like if you have a chat app, you're passing a bunch of data into the front with the human request. We have some environment variables here for OpenAI key and a Moments API endpoint. This is pretty much the full endpoint up until the visitor ID, and I'll show that. And this is just the server port. And I also modeled out the servers running on one port separately from the client, and the client's running on port 3002. Because I wanted this to be real life. So if you download this product, this GitHub repo, if you're a Tealium customer, for one, you can set up your model and all that. If you have a different AI you're using, maybe you're using Claude 3.7, you can change out the variable and just change out the LLM implementation, and I'll show you where that's at. And then also you can put in your Moments API endpoint here, and that's it. You can also change out what you want to use to grab Tealium data if you wanted to. So maybe you want to use like the visitor profile API just to test some things. Maybe you're not a Moments API customer yet. But I would definitely try this out if you've not already and you're not a Moments API customer. If you have this set up and you do an npm install, it'll install all the dependencies necessary, and then you hit npm start on the command line. It will fire up the client and the server and run the app. And if you go to, in this case, 3002 localhost and pass in a visitor ID, it will do the thing. So there's a little bit of setup. This is also, by the way, using Tealium data that I have in my Tealium instance. So, and I'll be sending new Tealium data to my instance. So, yeah, I'm doing pretty good with time, but I'm going to need to hurry a little bit. So basic app structure here. I do want to cover this, and then we can move on. This is the last bit here. So our source code root source, we have two main areas, client and server. There is, if I were to show you at the root, there is an HTML file there. All this does is point to the client, okay? The index of the client. That's all this really does. And it provides a title for the page. Should probably update that title to say Rick's, but it's okay. In general, we have the client, which is the app file, application file, and then the app CSS. And then we have the index for the server and the LLM with the tool integration. And then we have our MCP content here. And the core TS file is my MCP implementation. So, this is what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you what this looks like, because it provides an example of what one of those implementations will look like in general. But I would recommend, definitely just using a reference spec. It won't change too much what the rest of this app looks like, but you won't need to create this if you use a reference spec. And plus you'll get more bells and whistles with a reference spec. So we have our products deal server, and then we have the moments server. Okay, and I think that's it. Some acknowledgements here. API, Open API for GPT-4, Tealium, and I'm actually using Mini for that. Tealium Moments API, and then Anthropic for efficient tool integration, inspiration with MCP, and I do love Claude. So just wanted to throw that out there. All right, so let's look at. We'll start with the MCP implementation here. So in an MCP implementation, we have our tool interface, and this interface is used to describe any tool class that we build. And you'll see that with the Moments API class for fetching user data, visitor data, and then also the products data tool. And there's a schema that to build a tool properly that you need to abide by. And that allows those tools to be passed into the LLM. So the schema matters. And then we also have types that matter as well, but of things that we create with those, like our data objects. So any type that we create, which I'll show you here. For instance, here's a tool. This is the Moments API server, and I have a visitor data object. And so this is the type, and we perform data mapping basically from the LLM responses in this fetch data tool. I know I'm going kind of fast here, but this is a tool, and here I am employing that interface tool. Okay, see this? And basically this helps me what's really important about the servers and the tools. One, in a full-fledged MCP implementation, discovery. Okay, so AI agents autonomously figuring out what tools to use when. So at the server level, this server is all about accessing real-time visitor data from Tealium Moments API. So I might have several tool calls for specific things for Moments, from Moments, maybe multiple Moments engines, things like that. Or I may have one where you can pass in the engine or, in the visitor ID, whatever. There may be different things here. Another thing I thought about, when I was building this was, really this would probably be better abstracted to like Tealium server, and then having a tool for Moments, and then, or maybe a couple tools for Moments or some options on how you call Moments, because Moments is pretty flexible on how you can get to the data you're looking for. So you can build that variability in here with properties, and like here I'm passing in a visitor ID. But at the tool level, it's really important to specify what this tool does, because this is what the LLM actually uses to understand whether it needs to use it or not. And get the data from that tool. So if you say that this tool is, just a tool or something really generic, it's not going to know that that's what it should do if it needs visitor data. That's why descriptions are really important with MCP. This provides context for your app level, just like we want to provide context for, the visitor level stuff that we're doing. We also have to, at the infrastructure level, provide context to AI to be able to perform reasoning and determine what to do next. So that's one of the powerful things really about MCP is this convention. This convention, I would consider this like a convention over configuration. If we had to manually do this, or like link up and try to figure out like a bunch of if-else logic to figure out what agent to go to, it would be a nightmare. So of course it makes sense to use AI to determine what to do next in this kind of scenario. So that's what a server looks like. I'll show you the other tool here, but we also have our MCP server class, and this is really basic, which you kind of saw the server in itself, and then we have a client. Okay, and a client has servers and tool calls and things like that, and so we'll get into what that looks like too in the app in use. Okay, so let me just check this real quick. Okay, so all right, the last thing I wanted to show in the server MCP type components. This is outside of the MCP component. This is the LLM using types, okay, from my server components in the client, okay. And so this is acting like an MCP client here. Okay, so I have my OpenAI key. I have my chat interface here that is used. I also have my system prompt. I'm not going to drain this whole thing, but you are a retail shopping assistant. You have access to the visitor's data and product deals. When you receive visitor data and product deals, use this information to do the following. And then I get into very specific deal information or deal logic regarding when to show 10% deals only, no higher. Better deals, explain why, tell the customer why they should consider, becoming a VIP, joining the VIP program, if they're not a VIP person. So some deal filtering logic, and then just yak shaving the prompt engineering side of, trying to get it to do the right thing and not do the wrong thing. So there's always a little bit of that. Formatting, things like that. Important, filter out messages, blah, blah, blah. And then we get into processing. So this is, processing chat here for the LLM in the user interactions here. So we have our objects that we created for chat messages, a chat array. We are storing history so that you can drill into things if you want to. And we also use that history for more efficient business, just in general, context for the LLM. And then we have our OpenAI tools, or our tools list for OpenAI. In the model that I'm using. And then we have a current context deal. And here's where I'm actually saying, for visitor profile, fetch visitor data tool call with the visitor ID. And then I pass in the actual visitor ID that is logged in right now. And then product deals, I just tell it to fetch that. Use this information to personalize your response to the visitor's message. So, all right, this is just to store messages, and then we are streaming. I probably need to clean that up. There's no other option now. I had an option out of that. But here's the actual chat completions, and I'm going to show you the tools being called here. So we have, in this case, GPT-4o Mini. We have our messages, our AI tools. Tool choice is auto. It will use the tools as it needs. A stream is true. Temperature is low, which means it's not going to be too creative and make up things that we don't want it to make up sometimes, unless you're creative writing. And then we're just setting a max number of tokens here to 1,000 just to keep things small. So here, if tools are called, it's actually storing that, and I do have something that logs that out, that a tool result was invoked, and I'll show you what that looks like in the console logging when we run the app. And then finally, there is an index here on the server that just puts all this stuff together, checks for environment variables and necessary things, handles cores for me, and then some of the JSON RPC things that are needed standard wise. We have our endpoints here, our post endpoint where we're using post and server side events, chat. Let me see if there's anything interesting in here. Here's where we're creating a new MCP client, and we're passing in the servers that we need to use. All right, so let me go to the client now, just real quick here. This won't take long. There's nothing interesting here. We have our app, and this is really the only one we'll look at. So this is, again, a React app. It's a little busy. One of the first things is setting up handling streaming. So for the chat responses, There's really not much going on in the UI, as you'll see. Just a simple chat. And we are doing a fetch for visitor data, a manual fetch, but this is only used for some of the real-time personalization stuff set as VIP, and I'll show you what that looks like. This is not used for the models. I'm not injecting anything into the model manually. And that's really important. I'm allowing so some of this stuff is just around, overlaying some images and things like that. So logic, personalization logic. All right. That's all I'm really going to show of the app. And then the products JSON, by the way, this is just the data. It's just a random list of about 30 things. As you can see, for men, women, different sports, different types of electronics, apparel, outdoor gear, equipment, what you would expect at a sporting goods store. All right, now we're going to look at the app together. We have a little bit of time here to do this. There's not much to it, so I think we'll have plenty of time for some questions here at the end. I am going to try to hurry. I know that was a lot. So let's make this happy. All right. So the very first thing you'll see is I'm going to move this one over here because I have some stuff I got to do over here because I am going to send more collect events to Tealium. So as you can see, one of the very first things it did here was it immediately started streaming the LLM. There's my manual call. You can see here, I even say manual call fetch for first page personalization. If I do that again, you'll see this little guy pop up immediately. Well, that's the first page personalization for a basic user, encouraging them to join the VIP club. So this would, what I would say is if I show you a VIPer, that doesn't appear. So I can just show you that real quick. And what you see instead is immediately a star showed up here. So, but also as you can see, the LLM is immediately recognizing me on first bite as a VIP customer. And I get different deals. The basic user didn't have 20% deals. So I'll show you that user one more time. And you'll see a lot of data flow in here because it's doing the full fetch again, because you can see here the fetch for the data. So this is a tool result here. I know this is ugly, but this is just logging. But you can see it's a tool result for the visitor data and then a tool result for the product data. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to switch to, let me show you what's some of the things you can do with this real quick. So I can say things like, hey, how about camping and fishing gear? And you'll see it filter down using the product data to drill down into just the camping and stuff. And then I can ask it things like, outdoor gear. I'm not even going to ask it questions. It's just going to know. But or fitness and sports gear. So here we go. This all makes sense, right? So it's using that data and its reasoning. And as you can see here, like when I'm asking these different things, it's actually just providing the results. It's not getting the data again. You see that like up here, it was getting the data every time. Now it's just honed in. I just keep asking more. It's not having to get my visitor data anymore. And it's not having to get the product tool data as well. So that's good. So the next thing, what I'm going to show you here is a VIP user. And so again, you can see the whole tool result here. You would see this if it had to get the visitor in the tools. I also have some helper things here. Fetch deals for equipment. There we go. I can see more than 10% deals. How about camping and fishing? There we go. Didn't need to go out for more data, as you can see, which is good. That's what we want to see. Now, the next thing that I'm going to do, and we'll wrap up with this, is I'm going to create a new visitor. And I think this is going to be VIP. I'm looking because I have the collect call ready for Tealium. So this is VIP 3. And do I have this one? Oh, I already have this one, don't I? Let me see. I think this would probably blow up. Yeah. Let me see. Let's make user. Okay, let's make user. Okay, one sec. Well, I think I may have. I don't want to have to make a collect call immediately for you guys. As you can see, I'm like making like a different. That's not a big deal. I showed you both sides of it. So anyway, so the data streams into Tealium really fast. I did this earlier, and I think I may have done it for visitor 3, which isn't good. But maybe not VIP 4. I think it's actually personalizing here. Like it couldn't find VIP 4 here in that engine. So, but I think the first page personalization is just assuming it's a VIP user here. So I may be able to do that actually. So let me do that. Sec. Okay. Okay, sorry, this is taking me a bit here. Just need to change this user. Almost done here, and then we'll wrap up with some questions. VIP4. I'll add some seed. There we go. All right. All right, so now we actually do get a VIP4 back. So as you can see, like immediately, I just sent a collect event and we do get that audience back. So that's pretty awesome. But now I'm actually able to like use the app as expected and filter down the deals and all that stuff. Now, one thing you may want, like if, the other side is if, of some of the personalization side, like right now I have this cute little monster down here on the bottom right hand side for like non-VIP users. Well, you may have the same kind of thing for VIPers, but it may be more for sustaining VIP members and showing them the value of what you're giving them as a VIP member, and maybe pointing out the different offers to them. So there's obviously this isn't a fully fledged app, but I hope you enjoyed it. And now I'm going to open up for questions here. This is basically, what we did here. In general, human input, the client app is taking that input and telling the LLM to use the human input along with the tools to be able to personalize the response and assist the customer the best. So just wanted to call that out on that slide there. All right, I'm going to close this down here so I can see y'all. All right. Looks like we have a couple questions from Ben. Thank you, Ben, for being here. I appreciate it. Can you confirm again where to get all the sample code so we can play along at home? Yes. So right here, if you want to take a screenshot of this, we have a link here. Contact if you want to contact Tealium for a trial or deeper consultation. We love working with our customers and prospects to be able to show them how to do this. And then also, we have our API docs, beyond Moments API. There's all Tealium docs in general. The code is here. And then the MCP protocol, I just called that out. If you want to follow some of my musings online, you can follow me on LinkedIn. And then also you can email me at bj.allmon@tealium.com. All right. How long did it take to set this up, and what percentage of overall production instance would this be? So what I would say is this actually is not a bad setup. If I vibe coded this, so I think most of the time was spent ratcheting and wrenching the things out from the vibe code that wasn't vibing per se. So I don't recommend vibe coding for production code at all. And if I built this from scratch, it probably took me about 2 to 3 days of actual full day hours. But it was spread across 5 days. But what I would say is if you build this from scratch as an engineer, you really want to use one of the reference specs and start from there per your language, and then just build it using the reference spec. The MCP core stuff that I did was so that you can see that this is it's going to have all the reference spec is going to have all of that. So, all right. So thank you for that question. I'd probably give it a 70%, 80%. There's definitely some exception handling that needs to happen. All right. So I think I'm saying this name right. I'm sorry if I'm not. Jazz. Wanted to confirm how you decided on what's one MCP server versus another. Yeah, this was just for me, think about it this way. In an ideal world, and I can't say that this isn't on the roadmap for Tealium, because I think it is, Tealium would have an MCP server available with tools available to our customers to integrate with. So whatever APIs you're using, whatever things you need from Tealium, autonomous agents in Tealium, things like that in the future should be in a Tealium's tool server available to our customers. And then you would then just take advantage of those tools. So if a vendor like Tealium doesn't have a tool server, I would probably encapsulate that in a tool server independently, and then invoke that tool. It's not. It probably isn't going to be uncommon to see implementations, apps being built that have all your MCP tools in one server, and if that's not the case, there's nothing wrong with that. It just depends on how how unwieldy it gets. So if it starts to get ugly, you may want to refactor that and break it out. So thanks for that question. All right, so another question here. I'm going to try to buzz through these here. So have you implemented the Studio or standard input output, standard IO, or the SSE version of the MCP server? And why did you go with one instead of the other? So I think that's so what this person's talking about is using the there's 3 different what do we call that? Transport protocols. So standard IO, SSE, or like post. And so I used post in this example. It was just really easy to set up. I see a lot of people using the standard IO, and that's fine too. That has some interesting side effects as well. But I don't really have too much of an opinion on which one you want to use. I think just consider the context of what you're trying to accomplish and what would best serve, like what's maybe most easily implemented in your language, but secure enough to do what you need to do. And I would, or maybe even talking to your team and seeing what they think and have them spike out 2 different ways and see what they think. How's MCP different from RAG model used for enriching with local data? So actually, it's an interesting question because MCP is allowing for your AI app to interact with other agents. So potentially, so that could be an app like that example of the product server. Technically, that would have been probably a products deals RAG app to get the best product deals. So, that could have been a multi-agent situation there. And so MCP it isn't just for like straight up data. It's for tool invocation. Those tools can be autonomous agents serving a function. And so you may have tool-to-tool interactions going on even in your MCP app. So, and they could be RAG apps. They could be just straight up service API calls. There could be a lot of different things happening. Hope that helped clarify. Great question though, because I think it can get confusing. Like, where's all this stuff fit together? But it was a pleasure. Hope you enjoyed this, and provide some feedback. Contact me. If you'd like, follow me on LinkedIn. Let's talk, maybe reach out a little bit. Thanks so much, Robbie. Let me see, Jazz. When you need an orchestrator with A2A with many MCPs, or in your case, you see Tealium providing all function needs in one MCP server. So no, I think you could slice it and dice it a lot of different ways. You could have multiple Tealium servers. You could have multiple tools in one Tealium server. You could have one server with multiple vendor implementations, tools. There's a lot of different ways to do that. It's just, it really, A2A definitely is for that cross-boundary, cross-org type deal and doing that well. So definitely check that out. I think that would make a lot of sense using A2A for orchestration for sure. But good call out there. All right. Well, I think that's it. Thank you so much, everybody. Have a good rest of the day. Happy Taco Tuesday.